sometimes we let, got it. And sometimes we let these speech evaluators do it. And I think the most important part is to let the speech evaluators go ahead and do it. That way they can introduce it, and then it's their job to go ahead and evaluate the speech. So I'm going to go ahead and let our first speech, our first speaker today is Daniel Zhu. And our evaluator for Daniel will be Vern Stewart. So Vern, do you happen to have his introduction?
No.
Okay.
I have this on the agenda. Okay, hold on.
Here you go. Got it. There's an introduction right there. All right, Vern.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. I've had the pleasure of evaluating Daniel Zhu once before, and I'm excited to do that again. Also, he is live in person here today, which is also an extra little gem. He is giving a prepared speech that is, the project title is The Greatest Lesson a Little Bird Could Teach. If you've enjoyed the time you've wasted, it was not a waste of time. We've all had passions that, no matter how small or casual, play an enormous role in our lives and who we are as individuals. Our next speaker likes to make good use of his time. He's a quality engineer at Boeing and is currently the District 57 Zoom Master. However, our next speaker has also wasted a lot of time. More specifically, he spent the last 15 years making original cranes. What could someone possibly learn from 15 years of origami? Please help me welcome Daniel Zhu, TC4, with his speech titled The Greatest Lesson a Little Bird Could Teach.
When I was 12 years old, I made my very first origami paper crane. At least, I think it was a crane. Its wings were a little misshapen. Its body was wrinkled because I had made so many mistakes leading up to it. Its head, well, let's just say if this bird had a head, poor thing would have needed a chiropractor. I was making cranes as part of our school's service learning project. The idea was that we'd make 1,000 paper cranes for the local elementary school, where they would hang it up in the hallway for everyone to enjoy. Needless to say, misshapen, wrinkled, headless cranes were not acceptable. I would have to start over. So I did. I not only started my next crane, but I started the one after that. And although I would learn to make other origami designs, for the next 15 years, I mainly focused on making a paper crane. I always like to say that if you enjoyed the time you wasted, it wasn't a waste of time. The reason I say this is because if you pursue something that you love, even if it seems like the biggest waste of time in the world, looking at you, League of Legends, you are bound to learn something about yourself, about the craft, about the world. It'll shape you in some way, even if it doesn't seem that significant. To me, it's not a waste of time at all. Then begs the question, what did I learn after making 15 years of little birds? Here's what I learned. I learned that making paper cranes is really, really hard. My cranes would be misshapen. Their wings wouldn't look quite right. Their head would be too big. Their tail would be too small. Sometimes they'd be missing a head. One was missing a wing. One had 3 wings. I don't actually know how I did that. Look at me, the crane would say. I don't look quite right at all. My wings don't look right. My head doesn't look right. My tail is too stubby. I could be better. I learned that the crane's nature was frustration. Over the next year or so, I found out that if you practice the most difficult folds of the crane diligently, if you meticulously crease every fold, to perfection. Cranes can be really, really pretty. Look at me, my cranes would say after a year. I look like the crane that came out of the origami book. I look like the crane on the thumbnail of the YouTube tutorial. I am beautiful. I learned that the crane's nature was elegance and grace. And I was really tempted to leave it at that and move on to other things. But for some reason, I didn't. For the next 14 years or so, I would keep making paper cranes. Do you know what happens to someone when they make paper cranes for 15 years? They get really good at it, like scary good. I can make them quickly. Heck, I can make them blindfolded. And it turns out that even though this is a neat party trick, it really is possible with the true nature of the crane. Turns out cranes, I learned, are really, really generous. Turns out you don't have to make perfect creases in the paper. It turns out you don't have to do every fold perfectly in a crane in order for that crane to be beautiful. Your edges could be completely misaligned. The body could be even just a little wrinkled. And although the end result won't be a crane that looks as picture perfect as its brothers or sisters, it'll still be unique. It'll have a life of its own, a personality of its own. Take this crane that I'm making right now behind my back. Even now, I can tell that the edges are horribly misaligned. This thing isn't going to look quite right at all. I can feel the paper protesting my every fold. I can feel its judgment as it's going, what the heck are you doing? That's a beautiful thing about the crane. It's generous. Look at me, it'll say. I don't look quite right. My wings are a little off. My head's a little big, but that's okay. I am beautiful just the way I am. I learned that the true nature of the crane is compassion and forgiveness. In doing so, I learned that us as human beings aren't that different from the cranes we make. Like the crane, we don't have to be made with perfect folds and creases to be beautiful. Like the crane, we are compassionate and forgiving. Like the crane, we are beautiful just the way we are. Turns out this was what I had learned after 15 years. This was the greatest lesson a little bird could teach me. And the best part was, it was telling me that this whole time for 15 years, all I had to do was listen. So fellow Toastmasters, what is a passion that you love? It could be the biggest waste of time on the planet. But think about what you've learned from it. Think about who it's made you as a person. Think about how you could pass that on to others. Because even that big time waster might not be that much of a waste of time at all. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Daniel. You were doing that behind your back, and I was thinking all the time about the Polar Express conductor who punched a ticket behind his back. And he came out with the word. So thank you very much for the speech. Can we have a timer? Can we have 2 minutes for evaluation, please? Thank you, Mr. Timer. And thank you, Dwayne, for sending out that chat about sending the feedback to Daniel via his email address. I was sitting there, standing up here thinking about that, and I was gonna ask, but you beat me to the punch. Yeah, and remember, everybody's egalitarian feedback is very important. Make sure that Daniel gets what you thought of his speech. And I thought it was a lovely speech. All right, our next speaker. I'm going to go ahead and introduce the evaluator for our next speaker, who is going to be Michael Pruett. And Ian, you have the pleasure of being his evaluator today, or did I have somebody else last week that was going to do it? Finally figured out you can actually print these off the website. Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters, I have the opportunity to introduce Mike Pruett, if I'm not wrong. He was born in Oakland and grew up in Berkeley. He's a retired CPA with master's degree in taxation. I guess I have to have a private consult with him. Mike is a virtual remote operations center volunteer at familysearch.org, where he helps with building a family tree of the entire human family, currently at 1.4 billion people, billion with a B. Mike has served as club treasurer, educational vice president, and district 57 area B21 director. He has also completed 2 paths in the Pathway program and a Toastmasters youth leadership program at Heritage High School. I didn't know that there was a youth program to start with. His speech today is from part 2 of the high school performance leadership project from level 5 of the Innovate Planning Pathway. His project involved improving and training people to use the YouTube channel used by the club he is currently coaching. Help me welcome Mike Pruett. Improving and training of the club's YouTube channel, Mike Pruett.
Thank you very much. I am really excited about this speech I'm going to give today because it is one of the 2 speeches in level 5, which is the last level of my pathway number 3. Now, a lot of times you put 2 pathways next to your name when you introduce yourselves. My first pathway was presentation mastery. My second pathway was engaging humor. I wondered if I could be a stand-up comic. And after I did engaging humor, I realized I wasn't going to be a stand-up comic. I do pick up some good jokes once in a while. The one I heard lately was the one about the trampoline team in Central Europe. Why did the Central European trampoline team declare bankruptcy? It bounced checks. Okay, so I've got a PowerPoint to go along with my speech, and I hope you have all brought your Kevlar vest. And who has their Kevlar vest today? Raise your hand. The reason I ask this is because Daniel Jew is one of my mentors. You may not know it, but he teaches me a lot. And one thing he taught me is about PowerPoints. And this is what he said: bullets kill. So better put on your Kevlar vest because we're going to have a PowerPoint today. Okay. Can you see that?
Oh, yes.
Here's my innovative planning pathway, level 5 high performance leadership project. And this is my speech number 2 called Project Report. And I'm the club coach for Vision Masters, Toastmasters in Oakland. And I'm going to be talking about a project that I did with them. The purpose of the project is to apply leadership and planning knowledge to develop a project plan, organize a guidance committee, and implement your plan with the help of a team. Select a project to complete with a team of at least 3 other members. Form a guidance committee and meet at least 5 times through the duration of the project. Deliver a 5 to 7 minute speech at a club meeting to introduce your plan and vision. And after you implement the plan, deliver a second 5 to 7 minute speech at a club meeting to share your experience developing and completing your plan. So my vision was that we would improve the YouTube channel that we had for Vision Masters, create a YouTube training checklist, and to train the club president on how to use our YouTube. And by the way, I'm going to save this recording today to my YouTube. If you'd like to get a copy of it, put your email in the chat, or I'll put my email in the chat. You can send me an email and I'll send you a link to it. Also, to check in the possibility of doing live stream to YouTube for the club. And so here's the report of our results. Our 3 team members were from Creating Communicators Toastmasters, which is the club that Dwayne and I belong to. Enrique Chavez is a online marketing expert, and he gave me some ideas for improving our YouTube channel. Tyler Gannett is a grammar English teacher at Pittsburgh High School. He helped me with writing the checklist. And Daniel Jew is our Zoom master, and he helped me coach me about doing the live stream recording. And we had 5 guidance committee meetings. The members of the committee were Kawaza Imara, who's a Vision Masters Club president, and Cynthia Stott, DTM, who's the Division D director. And then I spent 4 hours with Kawaza training him on how to use the checklist. So here is the basic channel that we started with. No, we didn't have really anything to dress it up. We had 1 video on there, and it just wasn't very attractive. So first thing I did was I went out and I looked for a banner, and I found a nice Toastmaster banner. I could put Vision Masters on there and a logo. I said, well, that's what I'm going to start with. I'm going to fix up this YouTube channel. And then Enrique helped me come up with a list of training videos that could make the channel more exciting and educational. And we have some Canva people in Vision Master Toastmasters, and they are always putting together like advertisements for our meetings with Canva. And these also make great thumbnails for your meeting recordings that you upload. And here's a painting somebody did of Cynthia so that we could fix up her picture. And here's how it came out. Once we had everything, our banner up and our logo, and loaded some of our recordings up, got a nice picture of Cynthia. It looks much better, wouldn't you say? Wouldn't you agree? Okay, Tyler helped me put together a long checklist, make sure we had covered everything on how to record, upload, edit, not edit, but record, upload, and put on descriptions and thumbnails. And then also Tyler helped me make a list of recording of video instruction, editing the video instructions. I really enjoy doing video editing. You take your video and just lay it out here with all the pictures, and you go in there and click on trim and cut, and just cut out the piece that you want and save it. And I'm going to probably do that for my speech on this recording I'm making of your meeting. So then the question is, what about live stream YouTube recording? Well, not all the things that we set out to do are successes. And in this one, we found out that you really require a private Zoom membership. And Vision Masters has a district membership. It would cost them, Daniel helped me find out, almost $150 a year to get a private membership. And this Vision Masters didn't have the money, didn't want to spend it. So that is the conclusion of my high performance leadership project report. Thank you all for listening. It's been a pleasure to be with you. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Mike. Very, very informative and maybe something we can use. Be nice. If we can get a channel and we can try to live stream our meetings. Boy, that might be something real interesting. All righty. So, Mr. Timer, could we have 2 minutes, please, for evaluation? Thank you. Oh, thank you, Mr. Timer. All right, now comes to the ever important part of our meeting. And that's the feedback and evaluation. And today I'd like to go ahead and call up our general evaluator, which, is that Ramiz or? Oh, thanks. Okay. I'm missing the agenda here, so, and I didn't memorize it. Shame on me. Anyway, thank you, Michael, too, for that speech. Excellent speech. And like I said, maybe we'll think about doing a YouTube for ourselves. We've got our VP of PR helping us out over here, and he's doing a great job. All right, Dwayne. Time for general evaluation.
Thank you, Toastmaster Larry. Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters and esteemed guests. Thank you all for making it here today. As a Toastmaster, we have the privilege of receiving feedback for the speeches that we give at a Toastmasters Club. My role today is to MC the evaluation portion of the meeting. And there's 2 parts of this meeting. Our first part is the evaluators, and the second part is calling on reports. Let's start with the evaluations for our speakers. Our first evaluator for this afternoon will be our distinguished Toastmaster Vern.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. Good afternoon, once again, fellow Toastmasters. It is a pleasure to be the evaluator for Daniel. He gave a great speech, and I want to start with first the title of the speech. The title should tell you a little bit about what he's going to talk about, but it shouldn't give away everything, and that's exactly what his title did. When I saw Little Bird could teach, I thought bluebill, finch, maybe something else small and the lessons you learn from that. But I never thought about a crane. That never even came into my mind until he mentioned it. Another thing I want to mention is the structure of the speech, which is the perfect structure we're all taught in Toastmasters. Has an introduction, tells you what he's going to talk about, leads into it a little bit, and then it gives you the substance of what he's going to talk about, these cranes and how they developed over the years. And then he wraps it up with the substance of his speech and the conclusion, telling us what he learned from doing this. He started this very young when he was 12 years old. And he told us in good humor how he did this and how he practiced and how, well, it wasn't turning out too good the first couple of times, and all these misshapen little cranes all over the place. And he would start up and try again and again. But something he did do is persistence, and he was passionate about doing this, and he didn't give up. Now, he never mentioned that, but you get that from the stories that he told about how the cranes became better and better over time. And each crane in and of itself, no matter if it was misshapen or not, was perfect. This tied in with our theme today, unbelievably, with Martin Luther King and the word egalitarian, about how everything is welcome in every shape, person, and every iteration of a thing is welcome. And that was amazing to me. I don't know if that was done on purpose or it was just coincidence, but I really got that. As we learned what the cranes taught him and how he continued to improve his mastery of this, we also learned a little bit about Daniel, about his perseverance and his passion for what he does and how he continually tries to improve in whatever his passion is. The most amazing thing is I didn't understand his body language at first. He had his hands behind his back and I'm wondering, what in the world is he doing? He's just nervous. He's standing back there. And then it dawned upon me he's doing something. And the whole time he's doing a crane. And I was kind of stunned by that because I look at myself and think there's no way I could do something like that. For one, it's just too small and I have fat fingers. It's not going to work out. As far as improvements for this speech, the only improvement I could suggest, and he kind of took that away from me, was to give examples of the cranes. And he did a perfect example of that crane. And I ask you, how many of you could do something like that? I know I could not. As far as an improvement, it would be nice if he could have pictures or in real time the cranes that were misshapen. How bad were they? How big was the head? How misshapen was the body? How off were the creases? That's the only improvement I would suggest, is some sort of visual, maybe to show the past examples and even the perfect examples. But other than that, I enjoyed his speech very much. Thank you.
Vern, DTM. All right, that was a great evaluation, and yeah, we should warn everyone that every time we put that. Yeah, I felt the same. I was pretty amazed by the origami you were doing while you were giving the speech. That seemed almost impossible. Okay, our second evaluator today will be evaluating Mike Pruett. And our evaluator is our Toastmaster Indian.
Fellow Toastmasters. To be honest, it's a very interesting speech, and I'm really proud to be evaluating Mike Pruett. When I looked at his doing two pathways, I'm struggling with even doing one, and I don't even know how you can do two in parallel. That's a great achievement to start with. And regarding the speech, I generally feel the speeches with content and presentations are it's to start with, it is hard to do such a kind of speech because people have to concentrate on two things: look at the screen, at the same time listen to what we are saying. So to start with, the project itself is a hard one to go. But I personally feel that Mike Pruett did a very good job in covering both aspects of it, the material which was presented in the presentation and the speech explaining the material. And it was a job well done. personally speaking, on the just to had a few tinge of improvements while I'm evaluating this speech. The long presentation, slide which had the list of all the things you did was necessary, but I personally think nobody would have had the time to go through from top to bottom. I think probably bullet points of some nature, summarizing it would have been better. That's my personal opinion, because when I saw that, I was trying to figure out, okay, I have to read it. I'm the evaluator, and I'm going top to bottom, and the slide changed. So that's the one thing which I wanted to add to the improvement. Overall, great speech. And one other thing which I really liked was the usage of jokes to hook the crowd in, to get their attention. I've heard in many Toastmasters and very seasoned speakers doing that, and you did a very good job of hooking the people and getting their attention and then starting the speech. I really loved about it. And overall, it was a interesting speech, and I would say kudos. Thank you.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you for that eval, and I'm sure Mike appreciates the evaluation. Let's just scroll down here. Okay. Let's move on to the next part of the evaluation portion of our meeting, which is our reports. And let's start off with our first one that I see on our agenda here, which is our all counter, and it is managed by Toastmaster Russell. Come on up.
Thank you, Dwayne. Good afternoon again, Toastmasters. I will be giving my report for the all counter role that I've taken upon this meeting. So Larry, I have you at 2 ands, 3 double clutches, and 0 ahs and ums. Vern, I have 1 double clutch, no ahs and ums, but 3 ands. Dwayne, 2 double clutches. Daniel, I have you at 1 and 1 double clutch, and a few repeats, but I can tell that those were purposeful, so I don't think I should even dock you for that. Mike, I have you at 5 ands, 2 ums, and 1 double clutch. Indian, 5 ums, 3 double clutches, and 2 ands. That's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Russell. Great report. Our next report is coming from our distinguished Toastmaster Vern. Vern, come on up. Oh, I should say it's a timer report.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. Hello again. As far as the times today, our first speaker, Daniel, was at 6:05. Our second speaker, Mike, was at 7:30 exactly. For my evaluation speech, I was at 2:30. And for Enion's evaluation speak, he was at 2:43. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Toastmaster Vern. Our next report is given by one of our experienced Toastmaster. He is the grammarian, and well, I think he's a egalitarian. Come on up, Toastmaster Ramiz. I get credit for that, right?
Yeah, last second.
All right.
Sorry. Thank you for that, Dwayne. All right, so for my grammarian report, Daniel, I'd like to say that overall, your use of the English language is amazing. I saw many great examples of lines that evoke imagery, and for example, that first crane you described, saying the poor thing needed a chiropractor. I mean, that evokes a certain image in your mind. You know, it's often in writing, there's the advice that we supposed to show and not tell, and I believe that kind of line is a great example of that. I also like your consistent anthropomorphization of the paper and the cranes throughout the speech, with lines like the paper protesting every fold, and that the true nature of the crane is compassion and forgiveness. Mike, I think that the thing that stood out to me the most was that initial pun with the priming us with the Kevlar vest line for the bullets that kill in the presentation. I mean, sometimes puns make us groan, but they wouldn't get a few chuckles unless they are witty. I didn't note any particularly improper uses of language. I think overall everyone's grammar today was pretty clean. And for the word of the day, I only heard Larry, Vern, and Dwayne use it last second. Yeah. I mean, we didn't have table topics today, so it's not like many people had the chance to use it. So that's okay. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ramiz. We ran through our evaluation part of the meeting, and it wouldn't be a evaluation without a general evaluation. I thought the meeting went great. We started a little bit late, but we added additional processes when it came to Zoom. We have a couple of more devices here so that even people online will feel the experience, right? We've added security controls, countermeasures, just in case something happens like last week. I've texted a few of you the new passcode, and I think today we're able to manage that, and we had a smooth Zoom meeting. And we even had our guests, and we've introduced our guests, and it's great to have guests, and we welcome you here, Marina. I think overall we had a great meeting today. We have a ton of people, and I'm looking forward to our next meeting. Back to our Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Daniel. All right, excellent meeting today. Well, it was pretty lively today. We had two excellent speeches. And Mike, I'd like to congratulate you on completing the second speech for your level 5. And I think that means that you've completed that pathway too. So congratulations. And thank you for doing it here at our club. Much appreciated. And Daniel, I love those little bird things because I mean, I'm listening to it and I'm thinking, boy, have I got a lot of rough edges. I don't have any perfect creases. So live and learn. And I can actually learn from those analogies. Thank you. Marina, we haven't talked to you much today. So, and I came in kind of late because I had to put the agenda together and I kind of had to rush off over here. Could you, again, if you've already done it, my apologies, but could you introduce yourself again today?
Yes, of course. I just said my first. I am excited
not
to
putting it down
be the guest for today's meeting, and I think it went well. And for an hour meeting, I used to belong to another Toastmaster club back in about 5 years ago in Concord, and I decided to come back again and revisit and hopefully improve my public speaking. That's my goal. And I'd like to visit a few other clubs, and this is my first club that I visited. I also live in Concord, so it's really close to this location. Hopefully, I'm able to visit everybody and you guys at the site, and I'm excited to be back again. Hopefully, I'm able to join in the near future. Thank
Oh,
you.
great. Thank you, Marina. And yeah, I did the same thing. I was in Toastmasters 2016, stepped away in 2018 and finally came back. I've been loving it ever since. So I'm working on my second pathway. I finished presentation mastery just like you, Mike. That was my first one. So now I'm working on motivational strategies. And the nice thing is that Toastmasters, ever since the introduction of pathways, has given all of us a wide variety of topics to follow, paths to follow, not just the single path or the dual path that they had originally of communication and leadership. So hope everybody is continuing on your own pathway and get more speeches up here. Heck, I wouldn't mind seeing less table topics, so I would want to see one once in a while because you got to keep your, oh, I can't even remember the word, but yeah, off the cuff, yeah, speaking abilities of it, up and running. All right, I'm going to go ahead and hand the meeting back over to the president so we can conduct the final business of the day. So, Mr. President, it's all yours. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. one of the business, one of the little pieces of business we have today, I'd like Dwayne to come up here, please. It's been kind of like 3 weeks now. I've been holding on to this, but 3 weeks ago, he completed level 3 of team collaboration. And I have I've been holding on to this, so I'd like to go ahead and hand it over to you.
Man, thank you guys for your support.
Yeah, congratulations. Well done.
This is premium paper. Thank you.
Well, you think I'm gonna print it on plain paper? You gotta mount that in a frame now. All right, congratulations, Gladys. Hey, we have a meeting next week, our normal meeting, but I'd like to change the meeting of the 25th. And that meeting, I would like to make an executive session. So I would like all the officers of the club to be there, but I also invite all the members to be here too, and guests. Because we're going to be talking about some things that this club needs to do, especially moving forward to become a distinguished club again. And there's some administrative stuff we need to talk about, but I want the entire club's input into this discussion. So on the 25th, I plan to hold an executive session. I don't know if you call it in place of this meeting, because we can have speeches and things too during an executive session. Heck, it could be a big impromptu table topic. So we'll do that on the 25th. All right, I'm going to go ahead and open the floor. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to add today? Dwayne.
So January 20th is coming up for Toastmasters Leadership Institute. Officers are welcome, members of any members of Toastmasters, paid membership, you have access to Toastmasters Leadership Institution, which consists of officer training. Highly recommend that. Or if you want to, we're looking for people to be officers to train hundreds of other Toastmasters. So if you want to speak in front of hundreds of Toastmasters and give them training on VPM, VPPR, Sergeant at Arms, and I think also Treasurer, Mike, maybe you want to do that one, Mike. We're looking for volunteers who want to train that many people. It's online. You can do it from the comfort of your own home. Just top part I think would be most feasible. And for members, they have a bunch of other booths or sessions that you could join. Might want to attend those if you're looking to level up more as far as your skill set. Toastmasters Leadership Institute is happening on January 20th, starting at 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. And lastly, I'm not going to be in person for 4 weeks. I'm going to be in the Philippines, but I'll be here via Zoom. I think there's season. Contest season. We need a speech we need a speech contestant and also evaluation contestant from our club to represent us at the area level. So maybe in the next few meetings, we can have a speech contest here at the club. Battle it out here for the best speaker and the best evaluator, then we can support our winner in the area contest.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Start planning for that. That'll be great.
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna have our own speech contest. So I've only done it once within this club. That was on my first stint here, and I was the winner. So I got to go over and talk at the area one. So it's an excellent opportunity for you to really write a good speech and then to deliver it to a live audience. Second time I did a speech contest at the area level, it was on Zoom, and it kind of loses its zing when you're sitting there on Zoom. All righty, anybody else? All righty. Oh, Dwayne.
What are the rules for next week?
Good question. Do you have the spreadsheet up? Because I think
We do have one speaker. I know you,
Rusty and me.
you,
Yeah, my speech got delayed, so I'll do mine next week.
I could be your evaluator.
Yeah, that's
I'll
fine.
be evaluator.
Okay. All right, who wants to be timer? Come on. All right, Anna Maria will be timer. And since we have two speeches, we'll have a table topics master, but only for backup in case one of the speeches. Okay, Vern will be our topics master. All righty, and grammarian. I'll do the grammarian. Mhm. And then finally, the yaw counter.
I can do that.
All right, Annie will do the yaw counter. And then Dwayne, you're gonna be my evaluator. Rusty, do you have someone in mind to be your evaluator? Okay, good. Ramesh can do it. I usually like to have the speaker, ask it, or, choose their own evaluator, but, we've done it the other way too. Okay, Daniel, thank you very much for being here live and in living color. Finally good to see you. Yeah. Oh, you're welcome here. You're welcome here anytime. And Mike, welcome again for being here today. And Marina too, welcome too. I hope we'll be
Thank
on
you.
your list of clubs to join. Because we'd really like to have you here. And you said
Mhm.
you're in Concord. We're here in the old B of A Technology Center here. It's now what's called Swift Plaza. So we're not, we're probably not too far from you.
Sounds
Uh,
good.
Okay, and Marina, just one more question. Any other feedback you'd like to give on today's meeting? Any way we might improve or make it better for
Um,
you?
It's similar to my old club, and I like how it's being set up. And it was for 2 hours back then, and an hour is okay. It's good for me because I also work from home, and this is my lunchtime, and I can make time between my lunchtime and my work time. This is
Great.
perfect for me.
Okay,
So
we're
yeah,
running late today too, so. Okay. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and close the meeting. Thank you very much, everybody, for being here today and great speakers. Thank you, Marina.
thank
Thank
you.
you. Mhm.
Bye.
Bye-bye.